Hi, everybody, and welcome to Matrix Live Season 4, Episode 2, where we are very lucky to be joined by Ross Schulman. Did I pronounce it correctly, or is it Schulman?
Schulman, yes.
It is Schulman.
Yeah.
You had as your Twitter profile for ages, it's pronounced School-Man, and I thought, wow, that's unusual. It should be Schulman, like the composer.
It was a Halloween joke. It was Skull Man.
Well, that wasn't in any way confusing. So I've been very consciously and deliberately mispronouncing your surname for the last 3 years. So apologies for that, Ross.
Yeah, it happened.
Well, we should make jokes on Twitter. Either way, Ross is one of our new guardians for the Matrix.org Foundation. And in fact, he was the first of the guardians and very kindly agreed to get on board the foundation back in October.
The most patient.
Yes,
right.
So we
Ross sitting here twiddling my thumbs, waiting for responsibilities.
Yeah, well, the responsibilities have come.
Yeah, right.
And sorry that it took us so long to get all the paperwork and the legal stuff together and also find the other guardians. But thank you for joining us on Matrix Live. I should stop bouncing on the table. And perhaps, I don't know, tell everybody who you are, Ross.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thanks for having me on Matrix Live. This has been a dream for 4 years now of mine. But no, it's great to be nominated as a guardian and to be part of this awesome project that you guys have been tending to for so long. So I'm Ross Schulman, as Matthew said. I live in the States, in Washington D.C., where I am a lawyer and an engineer, and I work on public policy issues. So I try to tell governments, mostly the U.S. federal government, what they're doing wrong and how they don't understand technology, and hopefully how to do it better. And I've been doing that for about 15 years now. And I largely focus on issues surrounding cybersecurity and surveillance online. But I'm quite passionate about decentralization and that whole movement, and have been sort of offering my what meager legal help the decentralization sort of community ever needs, but sort of participating and really enjoying all the people and all the projects, and particularly Matrix.
Great. I think you were one of the first to run a Matrix home server, right?
I don't know if I was one of the first. I certainly have had one running for probably 3 years now, maybe a bit more than that.
I can remember it was really one of the early ones. I think at rbs.io possibly.
Yeah, so it's on a server that responds to a couple different domains. Right now it's actually it's known as westwork.org, which is another domain that I run, but it lives on the same virtual machine as RBS.
I can remember seeing a new one pop up, and it was back in the days when whenever we saw a new domain, it was, that was so that is quick, let's
live.
And to discover that I guess you're not professionally a developer, even though obviously you know what you're doing on the tech side of things, was really exciting for us. And then subsequently we met up at the Decentralized Web Summit back in 2016 or so, and have sort of kept in touch since. So thank you.
And I think I'm Matthew. Your favorite story is the Mozilla Festival in 2017, I guess it would have been.
Yeah,
so
I think
I put together a Matrix server, home server in a box, which was just a Raspberry Pi in a 3D printed box with a screen on it. But I managed to run a Matrix home server for the weekend at Mozilla Festival, which was a lot of fun.
And it worked surprisingly well. It had a couple of hundred users on it, didn't it?
Yeah, no, well, I don't know about that. I don't know if it was 100, but yeah, no, it did work quite well. And it federated. I think the biggest issue for it was not having a static IP address, and so we ended up having to tunnel it through to another server that would actually have a static IP, but the server itself was on the box. Yeah.
So I guess I feel very lucky that Matrix as a foundation has somebody who both understands the tech, has actually been a long-term member of the community, but also has honestly the legal understanding and qualifications, both from the overall philosophical sort of public policy angle as well as the legal angle, but also, the foundation in the end is a legal entity, and we spent a hell of a lot of time, like over 6 months, going and getting the paperwork together to define the articles of association and trying to formalize the governance process that we've defined to try to make sure that Matrix proceeds and evolves as efficiently and successfully as possible, even if myself and Amandine go evil and try to sabotage the whole thing in some hilarious dystopia where we just try to rip it all apart. We're trying to legally protect the protocol and the foundation from that. And having somebody who understands that and isn't scared of the scary legal things, and obviously the other guardians do too, but Ross is actually professionally qualified in understanding this stuff rather than being it by the likes of us.
Although I feel like I really ought to say that I'm not your lawyer, Matthew.
Yes, that is true. That is true. But,
no, yeah, I mean, you guys got actual lawyers to do the paperwork there in the UK, which being a US lawyer, I wouldn't be able to do anyway. But yeah, I like to think that the legal the background, the training is applicable to a whole bunch of things, and I'm excited to sort of see what I can do to make sure that the foundation stays true to its mission, and yeah, that if you guys sprout horns or something like that and start carrying pitchforks around, we'll be able to.
Like the infamous riot hammer, not that I've got myself it's part of our incentive plan and New Vector to encourage people to commit code on time and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, the meetings will continue until morale improves.
Absolutely.
That's nice. I don't think I saw that the last time I was in the office.
Yeah, no, it's a new addition. Since interns joined this year, so we've got two folks actually who New Vector are kindly sponsoring by internship to work on Matrixy stuff. If anybody's interested, in fact, we should interview them. We should do a Matrix line for the interns. There's a guy called Yorick who's doing open tracing work. It's really, really cool actually, in that you can basically do sequence diagrams all the way through Matrix. So anybody with the synapse can start phoning back kind of telemetry, so you can trace the actual messages going all the way through. And then there's Oliver who's doing open source push, but in the short term, improving the push full stop. But there's potential to actually get the long rumored open source push replacement to FCM and APNS done if things come together. Just as a complete tangent, but what I think of it.
It's good to. I'm glad you guys have the capacity to bring on a couple of people during the summer. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. Both of them are doing computer science undergrad stuff at Cambridge, from where a lot of the team here ended up. So when we went back there back in November to wave the flag and see if anybody could be persuaded to come and work on Matrix rather than the cliched Google, Apple, Facebook, which everybody tends to default towards. We got I think quite lucky on the intern side. But anyway, what are you doing, Ross? Is there any interesting Matrix projects at the moment?
Right this instant, I'm actually trying to help out the spec, the MSC bot actually, which needs a couple of features added, and nobody felt fluent enough, I guess, in Rust to jump on that. And Rust is one of my favorite languages, so I've been playing with it for a while. So I was just digging into that code last night, trying to figure out which way is up and what the various bits and bobs do. I've been helping out with that. Other than that, right now, so actually I'm one of the wranglers for Mozilla Festival's decentralization space again this year, which I also work on here. The call for proposals is up right now actually. So if anyone in the Matrix community wants to put in something to do a session at Mozilla Festival, we would absolutely love to have it. And that closes on August 1st. Could be wrong about that, but sometime in August.
We haven't done it. We need to.
Yeah. So that's fun, taking up a fair amount of my time. What else am I doing in the Matrix community right now? Just updating my home server when the time comes. I gave it I made sure that it was 1.0 compatible before everyone flipped the switch. And keeping an eye on the spec process, just as a sort of interested guardian. I'm certainly not in the weeds like you two are, but just keeping an eye on it.
I mean, for context, we have a room called the Spec Core Team, which is where the core team kind of do their internal meta coordination. Anything particular, or basically all the actual information stuff is public and sitting on GitHub, but there's a little bit of a, hey, can you unblock this, please? And hey, can somebody please review this one, which has been sitting here for the last 2 years? And so we've invited the Guardians, so Ross and John and Jutta, into the room where they kind of hover like ominous UN peacekeepers, kind of driving these white vans with crosses on the sides round and round the perimeter of the team.
We're watching you. It mostly seems to come down to like nagging each other about the things that aren't done yet, which was certainly entertaining to watch during the run up to 1.0.
Yeah. I was wondering, do you want to tell us a bit about your vision on Matrix, your dream? It's quite a big project. Yeah. How do you feel about it? Where do you want it to be, and this kind of things?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing that that I love most about Matrix and what drew me to it in the beginning was the vision for integration, and the just the drive to try to bring as many things under one sort of protocol as possible to make that kind of communication simpler. And so, my dream and a lot of my sort of driving interest in decentralization these days is actually in the user experience and user interface space, because I think for a while there, a lot of us in the space were sort of nose down in the protocols and how cool distributed hash tables are and Merkle DAGs and what have you. And that was needed. Like we had to have those basics sort of in place, but we haven't spent a lot of energy on making the technology accessible and usable to sort of your average person. And Riot has come a long way since like when I first started playing with Matrix. But it's still kind of complex. It's still it can be a little intimidating for people who don't spend their life in in an IRC window, for example. And so I'm really excited about projects that are working to sort of try to bridge that gap. I know there's one client in the works, and I don't remember which one it is now, but that's working on like an Android app that basically just looks like any other SMS app, and that's, I think, really interesting and really useful.
And
so I'm excited about that kind of stuff, and I'm excited to try to get rid of at least some of the 14 messaging apps that I have on my phone. But yeah, getting the protocol to the point where now it's stable, it's matured, and that's an awesome accomplishment. And I think we're really set up well to now push the protocol and push the platform toward really mainstream kind of usage, which is exciting to me.
Yeah. Great.
Cool. Well, I promised you that we wouldn't take up more than 20 minutes of your time, and we're almost at that.
That's it. Yep. Come
on. So anything else that you wish to tell the hundreds of thousands of people who watch Matrix live?
Not other than I'm always excited to hear from other folks in the community, particularly now that I'm a Guardian, and my virtual door is open. I'm at Schulman /westwork.org if people want to reach out to me and say hi. I'm also in a number of the sort of community channels, although I'm not in Matrix HQ because I worry about what it would do to my VPS. Yeah, but I'm in This Week in Matrix and the Synapse home server admins room. So feel free to find me and say hi.
Awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for taking time out of your day at zero notice to jump on Matrix Live for us. And,
always happy to see you guys, and congrats on 1.0.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Jim.
Talk to you later.